Hi, and welcome to week 2 of Williamsburg Regional Library's focus on Tai Chi and Qigong. I'm Stan Rockwell. Last week we talked about the principles, and we'll review those just real quickly. We focus on our posture, our balance, and our breathing. So your foundation is your invisible line around the outsides of your feet. And we're outside again, and it's a little windy, and there's some folks working on some projects outside. There's traffic in the distance, so you might hear some extra noises out here. Again, use it as a mindful exercise where you just let it pass by like clouds floating across the sky. Your feet are about shoulder width apart. Foundation is that invisible line around the outsides of your feet. You're balanced right over the middle of it, so we're going to stay in harmony with gravity. So we're pulled straight up, shoulders relaxed, hips parallel to the floor, tailbone dropped, hips back a little bit, stomach flattened, lower back flattened, knees lined up with your toes, knee never going beyond the ends of your toes when you step out. You breathe down to your diaphragm, making the exhale last just a little bit longer than the inhale. Remember to always keep some bend in your elbows, some bend in your knees, never fully compress or fully extend. And that 70% rule applies. Only 70% of whatever you're capable of at this moment. And you stay relaxed but ready. So just focus on your breathing, and we'll start with our usual warm-up. Your arms float up with your palms facing. As you press in, it's like you're pressing your head back a little bit to feel some stretch in your neck. You turn your hands, you press out. Those arms extend, all the joints extend out. They come back towards your thighs, and you tuck your chin just a bit. It's an inhale and an exhale. An inhale and an exhale. One more. Come back to the center. Setting for your neck, your arms come up. One hand comes down, palm faces towards the floor, towards the ground if you're outside. Other arm folds over, center of your palm lines up with the center of your forehead. You turn 70% of your range of motion to that side. You come back to the center. Lower hand comes up. And you turn to the other side as you exhale. Inhale back to the center. We'll do one more on each side. Come back to the center. Another one for your neck. You turn your head to the side, let your chin drop down, roll across the bottom. Don't press it down. It comes straight across the middle. It's an exhale and an inhale. And one more. We'll just reverse, balance everything out. Come back to the center, nice and relaxed. Shoulders are next, and it starts off with rolling your shoulders towards the front. Remember, if you have rotator cuff issues, you just rotate your arms so your palms are facing behind you, and you make the circles with your elbows. And remember, if there's anything that's difficult for you or you can't do, you visualize yourself doing it. So we'll start and just inhale and exhale. And then just reverse. And then arms come up as you inhale. Fold over, exhale on the way down. It's an inhale and an exhale. One more. Back to the center. Arms come up, palms facing. Bring your hands back, palms are facing each other, fingertips pointed straight up. And if you can, you bring your arms so your forearms and your palms are touching. If that causes you issues with your shoulders, just let your elbows relax outwards. You come back, opening the chest as you inhale, and exhale toward the center. And inhale, and exhale. We'll do one more. Bring your arms out till they're about shoulder width apart. For your elbows, extend your arms outwards. Let all those joints expand. They come back in towards your shoulders, but not all the way. Exhale out. And inhale back. When your fingers are pointed straight up, just pause for your wrist. Just let your hands tilt towards and away from you. And then towards and away from each other. And then circles one way. And then the other way. Fold your fingers over. You have soft fists with the thumbs on the outside. They come to rest by your hips. You exhale as you reach out to punch, and that arm rotates to get some torque. You open your hand, extend all the joints outwards, curl your fingers back in, pull back. It's an exhale and an inhale. And one more on each side. And just relax your fingers. We'll do one more for your hands and fingers, and it's a visualization. As you inhale, you visualize and you stretch out all the joints in your fingers, your hands, your wrists. As you exhale, they just relax back. So inhale and exhale. One more. Just flex your fingers. Let them come back by your sides. The next couple are for stretching the muscles in your back. It's like you're holding a ball. The elbow of the upper arm is dropped lower than your shoulders. Lower hand rotates out, presses up, upper hand presses down. Keep some bend in your elbows. It's an inhale to the center and an exhale out. Come back to the center. The second one for your back is the rotational thing. It's sort of silk reeling, which we've mentioned before. Where for this, though, we're just going to keep everything from the hips down still. So if my fingers are on my hips, everything's staying still. I've got this hand on top. Going to rotate on that center axis till the hands are lined up with a hip on that side. And rotate the hands around, keeping the palms facing. And come back to the other side. And you can synchronize your breathing so you're inhaling in one direction and exhaling in the other. Just come back to the center. These next few are for your hips, knees, ankles. They also involve balance. So you put your hands to one side like you're going to be pressing into a wall. Shift all your weight over to that foot. And now this foot is my foundation. There's no weight in this other foot at all. You can step out and back. Other side, exhale and inhale. And you don't have to take steps that are very far. Small is okay. Bring your hands down, palms facing down like they're resting on a railing. Shift all your weight into one foot. Hands go back just a little bit to counterbalance. Foot goes forward, empty foot goes forward and back. Arms counterbalance. Keep that foot in more or less a straight line. Back to the center, same thing other side. Back to the center. Toes are towards the corner, little space between your heels. Remember, there's always some space under your arms, the groin. And unless you're making fists, also some space between your fingers and like you're holding a ball. Shift your weight into one foot. You can counterbalance with one arm, reach out with the other foot, and come back. It's an exhale and an inhale. If you feel pretty comfortable with your balance, you can use this for practicing kicks. So you shift your weight, come up, kick, and back. But again, stay in your comfort zone. The second one for your knees is going into a forward bow stance. So you shift your weight, you step up, doesn't matter how far. Shift your weight, you punch with the opposite arm and you get a nice stretch. You come back. It's an exhale and an inhale. One more. And back. Shift your weight over. For your ankles, it's a heel and toe. We'll do the same thing on the other side. And then shift your weight over. Outside, inside of the foot, touch the same spot. Same thing on the other side. Shift your weight over. And then circles first in one direction. And in the other direction. Same thing other side. Come back to the center. And just relax. This reminds me of times when I've been out at some of the retirement facilities and we're doing these exercises and building and grounds comes along and they're running weed eaters and lawnmowers and leaf blowers right outside the window. And folks next door are running 2 leaf blowers in the middle of the woods. I can picture Sisyphus. Just relax. Harvard Medical School has been using Tai Chi for a long time now as part of their mindfulness. But one of the things they found, and one of the things you often see in Tai Chi classes, is people get discouraged because they feel like they're having to learn a really long kind of sequence, and that's very difficult for them. So they've really simplified it a little bit. We started into this a little bit last time. First thing they do is something called pouring, where you shift your weight from one side to the other. And as you do this, you visualize water going from one side to the other, and it's the same temperature, it's the same salinity as your body. You visualize yourself cleaning all the cells in your body, starting with the tips of your toes. You can make it a really long mindfulness exercise if you want, where it's going up cell by cell almost, all the way up to the top of your head, down to the tips of your fingers, just flowing from one side to the other. And you use that also as a relaxation process, where you take note of any tightness anywhere, you breathe into it, let it soften, let that nice warm salt water go into it, and just clean everything. And then you start to swing from one side to the other. As you do, you're shifting your weight from one foot to the other. The weighted foot comes down and it really connects to the ground. The other foot, the heel, comes off the ground. If you want, you can do this with your eyes closed. And you visualize yourself in a place where you feel very safe and secure and serene. Doing it with your eyes closed, though, makes you feel a little nauseated, a little seasick. You can use the trick that dancers use, or ice skaters use, when they're making those twirls. Just keep your eyes open, look straight ahead at something that's not moving. And when you do that, you also help loosen up the muscles in your neck a bit. So Stan Yang is the person who's in charge of the Tai Chi at the Vincent Henry Institute for Mindfulness and Mind-Body Medicine. And he has you do this for however long you want. The second part of it is you do something they call drumming. You might have heard it as tapping, where hand in the front comes up and it taps with an acupressure point, and the one just inside your shoulder is on the lung meridian. Lower hand is tapping just inside your hip. And again, you can do this however long you want. Then you move down to the base of the ribs. And then just inside the hip in the front, that inguinal crease. And then lower dantian. And then you just go back to the swing. And you come back to stillness. And I like to add one that's really helpful for loosening up the muscles in your lower back, where it's like you're holding a really giant ball, or like a Swedish ball or balance ball. Upper hand's going to keep your head relatively still. Lower hand's going to take your hip out a little bit. Again, stay in your comfort zone. Rotate the hands around. Come to the other side. It's an inhale and then an exhale. Back to the center. One of the things at Harvard they found that was especially critical in maintaining balance was keeping those sensations, those connections between your feet and your brain intact. We have to learn how to walk when we're born. It takes us a while, and over time our posture starts to change, as we mentioned last time. We also start to lose contact with the earth, with the sensations from our feet. Some of that is due to the really thick sole shoes people wear these days. So they wear minimalist shoes or barefoot. So an exercise they do is you get into bow and arrow stance and you just shift your weight back and forth, and you pay attention to how the bottoms of your feet feel. When you're doing this in a skillful way, it's almost like you're giving yourself a foot massage. It's also the footwork in a movement in Yang style Tai Chi called grasp the bird's tail. And if you study traditional Tai Chi, one of the things that they emphasize is something called push hands. We'll do a very simple version of a one-person push hands, where you bring your wrists together, where it's very strong acupressure points. As you shift your weight forward, you press out, flip your hands, come back, and you just press forward and back, and you're getting that little twist. So remember, in Tai Chi, the energy comes up from the earth into your foot. It travels up your leg, using the biggest muscles in your body, your legs. You're directing that energy with your waist or your lower dantian, so that's where that little twist here comes in. I'm going to trade sides. And you express that energy with your hands. Think of hitting a golf ball, throwing any kind of ball, really. There was a program on ABC a few years ago where they looked at sports, in particular mechanics, body mechanics of sports. So they had two sumo wrestlers run as hard as they could into each other and measured the kinetic force. And then they had a fairly small MMA fighter punch a mannequin that they'd wired up to get the kinetic energy in that. And he actually put out more energy than the two sumo wrestlers did. And he did it by using basic kinetic flow of body mechanics, energy coming up, using the muscles of the leg instead of, if you throw with just your arm, it doesn't go very far. But if you get that push off, that twist, that torque, it goes a lot further. And that's what's used in these a lot. For grasp the bird's tail, it's usually done on the right side. And in longer forms, it's only done on the right side. There's something called ward off, and it looks like this. Palm is basically covering the shoulder. If you look at it from the side, there's a fair amount of bend in the elbow, but it's not back here. It's not out here like in Part the Wild Horse's mane. It's back here. And what we do in our classes sometimes is you just settle down into this, relax into it, and have somebody push. And you don't push back. You just absorb the energy, let it come through your body, and you really feel it in your back leg. And you can keep them from pushing you over. If they're big enough, strong enough, they're going to push you over. But on average, you're able to withstand a fair amount of force just by absorbing it without fighting back. Other hand is up with the fingers kind of facing towards the palm. And this is ward off. Roll back. You reach up, you grab. And this is a pulling back kind of energy. So if someone's coming in and the ward off isn't taking it, you just take their own energy and take them off to the side. So there's kind of a couple parts to this. If they're pushing in and you get tired of it, you just drop the elbow and turn a little bit and they go off that way. Or you can grab and pull. Press is the next one, and you have your heel of your hand on your wrist, other wrist. You press forward, just like we were just doing. It's a press. This is a penetrating energy. Think of yourself trying to get through a crowd, and you're trying to get through those places, those small places where there's no one right in front of you. It's like the story of Butcher Ding in a Chuangzi who is able to cut up an ox and never have to sharpen his blade because he goes where there's no resistance. And that's what you're doing with this. You're going right through the center. Push is the next one. You come back, you get that little bit of torque, and you push. And it's different from, you're not pushing like this. That's using your arms again. You're coming back, you're using the biggest muscles in your body. Push. So the angle and the elbow is staying relatively the same. You're using your arms are just kind of coming up at the same angle. Outside the hands are inside the outsides of the shoulders. If they're out here, you're just going to hug somebody. This is kind of pushing a person who's the same size as you out of the way. So, 4 major energies of Tai Chi: ward off, roll back, press, push. Peng, Lu, Ji, An. Beginning to grasp the bird's tail, you're giving the bird a place to land. You grasp the bird, bring the bird back to take a good look at the bird. Wings open up. Bird is so beautiful, I'm going to let that bird go. Bird flies away. Come back to admire the bird flying away. Change my mind, try to grasp the bird again, but too late. So ward off. Roll back. Press. Push. And, the more modern versions of Tai Chi, say from the 1950s and 1960s on, you may see this a little different. They'll have it, especially like in 24 form and shorter forms. You're like this for ward off, roll back, press, and then the toe on the front foot comes up and push. Whatever way feels most comfortable for you, do it that way. Don't worry about it. But if you ever study Yang style Tai Chi, will do that form a lot. In longer forms, it's always on the right side. The left side, they do ward off, but not the others. Get your posture, your balance, your breathing, and just breathe. Bring your arms up and down. Inhale and exhale. This is just called a Qi Shi, or opening the gates. You just breathe. And again, if you study traditional Tai Chi, you'll be doing this a lot. Sort of like if you're learning to play piano from a traditional teacher who has you learn scales before you ever get to play the music. Come back to center. We did something called the 5 elements last time. It's sometimes also called 5 energies, 5 phases. This is a different version, and there are probably 8,000 or more different versions of Qigong, different particular sets, and there's more being invented all the time. If you Google something or Bing something like 8 pieces of brocade, which we're going to do either next week or the week after, you'll see there's more than one version of that. It's been around for a few hundred years, so there's been a lot of opportunity for people to do their variations of it. But this is one I learned last semester from a visiting teacher of Chinese medicine and Qigong at William and Mary. So just get yourself nice and relaxed. You come up, down, and the first one is metal, which is for the lungs, open. Hands drop down a little bit, palms up. It's an inhale and an exhale. Balance everything out. And remember, metal gives rise to water, so the next one is for water. Your feet come a little bit further apart for this one. Arms come up and down. Your hand's going to come behind you with your palm out. Arm's going to come across. You sweep across. You sweep down like you're gathering up water and across. It's an exhale and an inhale. And then you just switch sides. You come to the other side and down. Again, 70% of your range of motion. Balance everything out. Water gives rise to wood. And this one, you're pushing like this. If you've ever studied Yang style, it's kind of the movements of repulsing the monkey. It's 3 times doing this with an inhale, 3 times doing this with an exhale. And I'm going to, if I can count right, do 7 sets. So just begin. Balance everything out. Wood gives rise to fire. And again, this one will look like a movement from Yang. Actually, many families of Tai Chi, but it looks most like the Yang version of Fair Maiden Work shuttles. Come up like you're holding a ball. And remember, you may have noticed we're trying to do these with your whole body. You're shifting your weight. You're not just moving your arms. You're moving everything. So we press out and back. Fingers are pointed of the upper arm in the same direction as the toes. You come to the other side. Balance everything out. Fire gives rise to earth, and for this one you actually are looking at the heavens. Arms come up, and then just like you make a diamond shape with the hands, come up, back of your head rises up a little bit to take the pressure off your neck, and you're turning from side to side. Again, just synchronize your breathing with it. Come back to center. Balance everything out. We'll balance everything out 3 times. And I want to do one more set. And this was developed by Changman Ching, who came from Taiwan to New York over 50 years ago and is one of the first people to bring Tai Chi to America in a broad sense. And again, they were trying to find something that people could remember and not have to memorize a really long form. Bring your arms around like you're hugging a big tree. We did this last time. And again, it's a standing meditation called standing stake or standing pole. Standing meditation is used a lot in traditional Tai Chi practice. This one also utilizes a visualization. And you visualize a very intense white healing light right in the center of your body, roughly between your belly button and the lower part of your back. In Chinese, it'd be the Ming Men. The right center of your body is called the Wu Ji. You remember Wu Ji is that instance before anything comes into existence. There's no dualization yet. Tai Chi is the force that brings yin yang into being. So as we stand in this meditation, that light starts to expand until it includes your whole body. It includes all around you, all the surroundings. It goes out to your whole community, your whole town, your whole state, country, hemisphere, world, solar system, out to the far reaches of the universe. And you hold it for however long you want. And then it starts to come back towards you. You bring that energy back towards you. Back to the solar system, the planet, all the way back to the center of your body. You bring all that white, healing, intense light. To me, it's a bit like a Buddhist loving kindness meditation where you send out love and kindness to everyone, everywhere. With this, it's a white, healing light. Balance everything out. Second part, I'll do it from the side so you can see your arms come up and in and down. So it's like you're making a circle in front of you. So if you're doing it from the front, remember last time we talked about when you touch the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth, you're connecting two energy channels, one down the front of your body, one up the back of your body to the top of your head. And you visualize energy flowing through that, what the Chinese would call a microcosmic orbit. And you can have it go either way. The front is the conception vessel and the back is the governing vessel. And again, you do this however long you want. You can slow it down. Just have that energy flowing. Balance everything out. And the last one is called bear, and the bear has an owl on his head. Continuing bear. Bear is used in many movements. Bear is a really good yin-yang metaphor. Very yin in the winter, hibernating, not a whole lot of action. Summertime, out looking for food, a lot of action, very young. So Cheng Ching developed this one to help you sort of incorporate all the principles of Tai Chi into one. We've talked about silk reeling. It's when you're sort of turning your body from one side to the other. If we're doing it with a sun-style wave hands like clouds, you notice you're shifting your weight from side to side, turning on that center axis. It's massaging your internal organs. It gets things moving so everything flows through like it's supposed to. If you're doing it for, like we talked earlier, to get torque, get more power, for brush knee push, you come around, you're getting this twist and turn. This particular movement, the bear is looking from side to side. The owl is on top, keeping him very standing upright. You're holding a ball, shifting your weight from side to side, turning your hands, keeping your palms facing. So you're getting that weight shift from one side to the other, giving yourself a bit of a foot massage. Also, again, paying attention to how the bottoms of your feet feel as you shift your weight from one side to the other. Get that nice turn. Keep the palms facing, pal. And if you're doing this in a skillful way, relatively quickly you start to feel maybe some tingling in your hands, or some warmth in your hands, or some redness if you look at them. That's a good thing. You would see that as your chi flowing. So just keep moving. Okay, just start to slow it down. Back to the center. You balance everything out. There's a movement that I often used. I worked for a few decades as a counseling psychologist, as a therapist, and one movement that was very useful for calming yourself down. You can do it standing or sitting. You have your posture, your balance, and breathing, and you have your arms up in front like you're holding the ball of energy in front. And it's an inhale and an exhale. Your elbows lead the way in this one too. And your hands trail. Remember when we did this? Fingertips trail, fingertips trail. It's similar in this one. Hands trail, hands trail. It's almost like a wave going in front, and there's a little bit of an up and down as you expand and contract with that yang, yin. Inhale, exhale. You can almost hypnotize yourself doing this. If you want, you can visualize that big ball of energy in front. It's trying to press outwards as you're trying to keep it enclosed, and then you're able to press in, but then it presses back. We're going to finish off with a set of 5 elements that we did last time. Remember, this is earth we start with, and it's just a breathing, standing meditation. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, Exhale. Hands come up. Earth gives rise to metal, and it's open and closed. What we're just doing. Inhale. Exhale. Then back to earth. Metal gives rise to water. Remember, you're not leaning forward. Your hips are going back like you're going to sit down. You're keeping your head over your foundation. You lower yourself 70% of your range of motion. Down, up. It's an exhale and an inhale. And one more. Back to the earth. Water gives rise to wood. Rotate your hands, fingers are face forward. You come up in a circle about chin high. Inhale down and exhale. Back to the earth. Rotate to your left till your left hand lines up with your hip. Right hand comes around on top, facing those Laogong points in your palms. Inhale. Hands separate. Exhale. They come back together, but not all the way together. Rotate to the other side, palms facing. Inhale, exhale. Back to earth. Hands come up, and first it's a massage down the back, and if you want to, you can massage your kidneys and your lower back a little extra up the front. Bring your arms around, shoulders nice, relaxed, elbows drop a little bit, fingertips facing standing stake. Again, if you just want one pose to do, this is a good one. Remember, you can make it easier by bringing your feet closer together. Still have some bend in your knees. If you really want to make it a challenge, feet are further apart. Again, it's like you're sitting down in a chair. Because you want to keep, again, your knees behind your toes. Keep that stress off your knees. You can do it by number of breaths, lengths of time, however you want to do it. At the end, you just balance everything out. We'll do 3. Come back to the center. The left foot comes in, left hand's flat with a thumb over, right hand's a fist. They come together. Thanks for joining me. We had a really interesting, good mindfulness exercise, keeping ourselves focused regardless of what was going on. Stay safe, healthy, and well. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next week. Take care.